Hello Street Snappers, and welcome to my last video of 2021. And what a strange year it's been. In this video I'm going to review my street photography year, just to give you an idea of what I got up to in 2021 and what I'm hoping for in 2022. I'm not saying it's been a bad year, just a different one. Street photography's been a little kind of strange recently, don't you think? But despite the obvious difficulties, including travel restrictions, I've still managed to run workshops. I've done 59 this year. It's usually around 70, so it's almost back to normal for me. But what about my own street photography in 2021? Well, there's no doubt that the earlier part of the year was tough. The streets were much quieter, and I found myself having to rethink what I was doing, which was actually no bad thing. And as a result, I'd say my projects are in a state of flux. I've abandoned some, I've started some new ones, and I'm developing plans for more in 2022. And I can't tell you much about those just yet, but I can tell you that my own street photography is heading in a slightly more documentary direction. As for this YouTube channel, I've produced fewer videos this year than I'd intended to, but I do have a pretty full schedule for next year, so please do stick around. And when I started making these videos, which I guess was about 2 years ago now, somebody who's very successful at this said to me, and I'll always remember this, he said, be true to yourself, be yourself and stick to what you believe in. And hopefully that's what I've done. I'm not particularly interested in gear per se, so you won't see many gear reviews here. I'm not really convinced of the learning benefits from POV videos, so you'll see relatively few of those on here. And you certainly wouldn't see any unboxings, and I think that means watching me for 20 minutes while I take something out of a cardboard box. I don't get it. So, one of the big developments for 2022 will be the launch of my street photography podcast, hopefully in January. This is called the Streetcast, and I guess it's a kind of street photography magazine. There'll be interviews with street photographers, from well-known people to those you've never heard of. Maybe folks just like you who have something interesting and relevant to say about street photography. There'll be a regular Q&A slot where you can submit your questions and I'll do my best to answer them. There'll be book reviews, quick tips, a rant of the week, more in-depth techniques, a little about gear, and news from the world of street photography. And in each episode, I'm going to give you a street photography mini assignment to work on, which will be designed to develop a specific street photography skill. So, back to YouTube. You know this channel isn't about gear, but I did an interesting exercise a couple of weeks ago, and I analysed the data from all the pictures I'd taken in 2021 to see what gear I've used most. And I guess that means what gear I've enjoyed using most. And the results surprised me a little. My most used camera was the Fujifilm X-E4. And this seems to have taken over from the X100V as my favourite street photography camera. My most used lens in 2021 was this oldish 35mm 1.4, followed closely by the 18mm 1.2. And strangely for me, I haven't shot much with the 23mm this year, the 35 equivalent, and I'm not really sure why. So I've either gone a bit longer or a bit wider. Now we all know how often photographers change bags, and I'm no different. This year I've used bags by Peak Design, Billingham, Owner, and I think that my favourite bag at the moment, and has been for a short while now, is the Peak Design Sling, and I think it's the 10-litre sling, which feels just about right, and it's so comfortable. And at the moment, and I know this will change, it feels like it's pretty much the perfect bag for street photography. So what about books? What have I enjoyed reading in 2021? The Helen Levitt retrospective at the Photography's Gallery in London is just superb, and it's on until mid-February. Many of Helen's great images are reproduced in this great little book published by Thames and Hudson as part of its photo file series. It's just a terrific little book, and I think it's got most of the pictures from the exhibition in there, but it costs significantly less. I think it's about 10 quid. Then the other book that I've really rated, and I've mentioned this on a video before, is Sergio Lorraine's book, London 1959, and this is a book I just can't put down. It's full of gritty, contrasty, evocative images, all shot just before the capital took on a very different vibe with the arrival of the swinging 60s. And Lorraine, of course, was an early Magnum photographer. I think portraits will probably feature more strongly in my work in 2022, and I've always been a fan of William Eggleston's work, and Billy Eggs, as some people call him. And I love this collection of portraits shot throughout his career, and there's such a variety of themes and styles in this book, some candid, some posed, some black and white, some colour, some quite strange, many of them mysterious or enigmatic, and it really is a terrific collection. I think William Eggleston polarizes opinion. He's not a street photographer as such, although street photography is very much a part of what he always did. But this book, Portraits, I really like. Now, my final book choice for this year is Saul Leiter's New York, published unusually maybe by Louis Vuitton, the fashion brand. And a group of my workshop students gave this book to me as a birthday present this year. Thanks, Jovis and team. And it showcases some of Leiter's fashion work, and it's probably something he's not widely known for. And it is just such a beautiful book. So that's what I've been reading. But what about my own writing? Well, my third book, 52 Assignments Black and White Photography, again published by Ammonite Press, should be hitting the shops on the 7th of January. And this does what it says on the tin. There are 52 assignments to work on, not just street photography, but a bit of documentary, landscape, portrait, urban landscape, bit of still life, bit of everything to help tune up your black and white skills. And this will be in all the usual bookshops, and you can buy a signed copy directly from me. I'll pop the details below. But my most exciting project, writing project in recent years, is another book for Ammonite Press, and this one is called Street Photography Workshop, and it's a more intermediate level book. And this should be hitting the shelves in late spring, and I'll keep you posted on that one. And there's a fifth book coming out. I've just signed contracts with a new publisher for that, and I'll be able to tell you about that very soon, I hope. So watch this space. So what about my own picture taking? I don't think 2021 was a particularly great year for me, I've got to be honest. And I think I've probably been focusing more on helping other photographers rather than shooting my own stuff. But here are a few of my favourite pictures of the year. Some are part of projects, so may not make too much sense on their own, but here goes. Have a look. as I said earlier, I ran 59 workshops in 2021, which is fewer than usual, but probably not surprising given the constraints imposed on us by the pandemic. But somehow we made it work, and I'm really grateful to all my workshop students who have stayed with me through the last difficult 18 months. I spent much of October in Venice, running street photography workshops and also working on a personal project which shows Venice devoid of tourists, and the output is this zine. If anybody would like to buy a copy, I'll pop a link below. It's called Venezia Vuota, which means empty Venice, all in colour, just showing the streets of Venice as we don't normally see them. So what of the new year? I'll be planning, I'm doing loads of workshops in usual, both in the UK and in Lisbon and Venice, possibly Prague if the pandemic situation allows. I'm also working on some new workshop concepts, including a series of one-day documentary boot camps, which will be in London, and more about those in due course. I'm also doing some online critique workshops, which will be via Zoom for 6 people, and also an online workshop about project development, and I'll be releasing details about those probably in January. Talking about Zoom, in 2021 I did more Zoom lectures for camera clubs than ever before, and I've got lots booked in for next year, and I've really enjoyed doing these, and I do seem to get great feedback. So if you're a member of a camera club or photographic society which might be interested in a lively street photography talk, please do get in touch, and I'll pop a link to my talks below in the description. So that's about it for today. I hope you've got a flavour of what I've been up to and what I'm heading for. If you're watching this before the 1st of January, I'd like to wish you a happy, healthy and creative new year, and I hope to see you in the next video very shortly. If you're into street photography, please make sure you subscribe to this channel, and don't forget the new podcast. The link is below. The first proper episode will be coming out in January. There's a trailer up there at the moment, but now is the time to subscribe so you don't miss that first episode. And you can get it in most of the usual podcast places like Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify and so on. So that's it. All the best for the new year, and bye for now.